The Ganges River, also called Ganga, is a river located in northern India that flows toward the border with Bangladesh. The river and its basin is the most heavily populated, with over 400 million people living in the basin. With modern India's growing population, there is a growing demand of electricity. To accommodate that demand, various new transmission corridors are being created to expand and strengthen the power network. One such corridor was the PB line that was created in the Begusarai region of Bihar by Sterlite Power. Due to an unprecedented flood, the 400 kilowatt DC PB line tripped at 6:51 hours on 23rd August 2016. The patrolling team that was sent to the site was unable to reach due to heavy floodwaters. The floodwater had spread 10 to 12 kilometers on both sides of the river. In 2010, a tension tower-based power transmission corridor was created when the river here was a side stream. Tower specifications were according to hydrological and geological data collected at that time. In the last 6 years, the river has meandered and changed its course by 2 kilometers. Now the side stream has become the main Ganges. After the initial attempt to reach the damaged towers failed, the next day another attempt was made and the survey team reached the location near tower number 46/9. The team discovered that tower 47/1, situated in the mainstream of the river at the Ganga river crossing near Begusarai, had apparently collapsed or had been uprooted. The adjacent 3 towers, 47/2, 47/0 and 46/9, were also severely damaged. A total stretch of approximately 7 kilometers of the corridor got affected.
The flood situation was made worse due to the 2 dams acting in opposite ways. The Bandsagar dam on Son river was discharging heavy quantum of water into the river Son, which confluences with river Ganga just before Patna. At the confluence point, there were new HFLs on the downstream as well as the upstream side. The other dam, that is the Farakka dam, it was throttling that flow. So under this situation, there was heavy turbulence in the river water, which led to the collapse of the tower of the PB line. After the incident, there were 3 challenges to start the restoration work. First, to access the site and assess the damages. Second, collecting the hydrological data. And third was collecting the geotechnical data. For accessing the site, as the river currents or water currents in the river were very high, we had to deploy the drones. And for hydrological data, we had to pursue with the government agencies as it comes under a classified data category. For the geotechnical data, we deployed an expert agency from Kolkata.
EHS Consultants from Bureau Veritas India Private Limited was engaged for doing a site safety assessment at Begusarai. Over the next 3 weeks, expert divers from Lily Maritimes Limited, Mumbai, were engaged for identifying the debris of the collapsed tower. A team of 6 divers from Mumbai arrived at the site to dive for debris. This was done to ensure that there was no debris left in the navigation channel. A team of water survey professionals was engaged for sonar survey in deep water and high current. Sonar survey gave water velocity and depth across the riverbed for designing the new pile foundation and tower. After the study, the design and engineering team recommended specifications as per the latest high flood levels and survey data. It was decided that the tower height was to have a 2-meter safety margin to ensure additional clearance from the level reached by the water in 2016, that of 50 meters. After thorough and extensive planning discussions, KEC began soil investigations, for which a barge and tug was brought in from Kolkata. On the bank, work began to repair the damaged roads for access to the site. About 11 kilometers of the village road was restored, but it could not be used due to major right-of-way challenges. The de-stringing activity for 46/0 was started after resolving some of the right-of-way issues.
When we reached to the project, we faced an unprecedented ROW. Then team began to look for the alternative routes for approach road. Administration unable to provide the dedicated security force due to the floods and the recent strike called by the security home guards. We approached to the Chief Secretary office as well as Power Ministry of Bihar to explain the importance of the project and to get the dedicated police force for the project. In the meanwhile, total entire site team started negotiating with the landowners and local sarpanches. They worked hard for 2 weeks. They could able to find out the solution with the landowners, and we started working to make the approach road through crop area, and we readied the approach road for taking all the construction material and equipment to the project site.
Meanwhile, the stringing team was busy finishing the de-stringing and tower dismantling. At the same time, a team was busy preparing 3 more barges at Kolkata for transporting critical resources required for the pile foundation activity. 4 barges started from Kolkata for Begusarai via the Faraka barrage gate. To save time, liner making was started and was in progress on the barges during the transit period. But midway, near Mokama, the barges got stuck in the riverbed due to the uneven water level in the main channel of the Ganga. With help from Inland Waterways Authorities of India, Patna and Noida office, the hurdle was crossed and finally the barges with critical resources arrived at the pile location. At this junction, work was once again disrupted for 15 days due to local threats to the labour working at site. Nonetheless, the team persevered and the de-stringing work was completed. It was now time to begin tower erection works for the damaged towers. 3 jetties were made for heavy machines loading and material shifting.
Right at the last moment, team faced a new hurdle. The land around 2 of the lakes where piling was to be done became dry. After detailed exploration with design and engineering team, it was decided that balance 2 lakes too would be shifted from water to dry land for ease in foundation work and for saving time. So whole plan was changed and a new work process plan began. Accordingly, barges got modified for the new work methodology, and after working day and night, finally the first pile was poured in the month end.
This time, to ensure no disruption of work, police security was requested and taken for the site from Bihar Police.
Foundations in river crossings are really a challenge by itself, and especially when we talk about Ganges, it has high velocity of water, and making the foundation in the bed of the river is a challenge by itself. We had to finalize the designs using piles and a river crossing tower. Last year, with the unprecedented flood, the entire number of piles and the tower was washed away, which was unbelievable. We had to redesign the foundations for encountering the flood levels and the water velocities for the next 40 to 50 years. After having developed the new design, the next challenge was how to do the bore inside the location, and we started the bore first time at the pile location, and unfortunately we could not go to the full depth because the sand was collapsing. Then we took a pause. We decided to do a test bore little away from the location. When we started the test location, we practically started somewhere in the evening, and we wanted to go through the entire pile driving machine to the full depth of the pile, and we started encountering this sand boiling. So that's where the challenge was how to overcome the sand boiling. So we decided to do the stone pitching when we encounter this sand boiling from this area, and there is no other solution but to stabilize the sand boiling by putting the boulders from the top. And this was very successful experiment which was done for the first time in the history of transmission line foundations. After having successfully done the test bore, then we came back to the main location, and then entire piling work was quite smooth, and we successfully completed all the piling. This was the most innovative design solution implemented for the first time in the country.
With the bore stabilized, the team was able to begin cage welting and concreting activities. The pile foundation progressed under extreme weather conditions of a heavy sandstorm daily in the afternoon. In the next 3 months, all the pile foundations were finished. The piles built up sections, and the pile cap was also completed. Supporting the pile cap was a tremendous challenge.
The volume of one pile cap concrete weighs around 500 metric ton. It was very difficult to provide support at a height of 12 meters from riverbed level. Industry experts from Tata Consultancy were engaged for monitoring the quality of the pile cap support.
Despite hardships, the pile caps were completed safely. The tower legs were raised and the tower erection started. Tower erection posed a safety challenge as the river Ganges raged on one side of the tower. A specialized tower erection gang under the supervision of a specialist and 24/7 safety monitoring staff was ensured to complete the tower erection work safely.
Special gang arrangements were made in the river using barge, counter blocks. The risk in tower erection mainly increased due to sandstorms, the rains, and the high rolling of Ganges rivers.
The only access road available got slushy and was completely unusable due to the daily rain. The site staff was compelled to travel 2 hours in a boat to reach the work location as the movement of vehicles became unsafe in muddy access paths. At the end came the stringing activity. To add to the team's worries, the level of the river water increased to a warning level of 44 meters, and as a result, high tides started. But by using a barge and crane arrangement and pulling of the conductor by puller machine, the team was successful in doing a rough sag safely. Finally, the PB line was commissioned and restored on the night of 20th July 2017. All of this was done very safely.
The team gave in their 110%, facing the challenges with fearlessness and full courage and as a team. We faced a lot of challenges of ROW issues, unprecedented weather, as well as stiff resistance from villagers. But all these uncertainties also forced us to modify our planning as well as our engineering at various critical points of the time. But the team worked together with determination and as a team, and this led us to achieve these results at the shortest period of time.
Team Sterlite shone through and the line was recommissioned on time. Team Sterlite, empowering humanity by addressing the toughest challenges of energy delivery.